awesome. All right. So Katrina, thank you again. I would love to know, just like, let's start with what are the results? Like, where do you feel you are today? And especially if you can give us specifics, do you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you feel where has this experience had an impact for you?
For me, it's been an increased level of self-awareness. I know for me, typically when I don't feel sure, that tends to bring up anxiety for me. And so I felt like going through the program helped ground me by, I think, helping me understand myself, first and foremost. And I wasn't expecting that part of the program. But I'd say I feel more confident and more at peace when it comes to making, big decisions with regards to work and next steps in my career.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. So where does that show up for you? In other words, if you're feeling more confident, is it less, I don't know, mental strain? Like, do you finish work with more energy, or do you find yourself just more present in your family life? Like, how does that show up for you?
So it first showed up just me having more control, putting more control around my work hours, right? So being able to log off work at a reasonable time and not feel bad about it, like actually be able to, do something fun and be okay going back, the next day. So it was really just that confidence in that, I bring, a lot to the table, and it's okay, if I log off, just a few hours early, to live life.
Yes. Hello. That's why we've worked so hard to begin with.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So do you feel like you're working less hours in general, or is it just more control over when you work, or both?
I think both. Working less hours, also more control. So there's certainly times when I am working longer days, but I'm choosing to do so. So, I'm choosing to work a longer day because I know once this is submitted, I don't have to talk to anybody for 5 days, for example. So I will put in, that extra time when needed. But in terms of working fewer hours also, I think being able to delegate more to my direct reports and not feeling bad about it. I think I used to feel bad when, like, if I saw them still hanging around online with work, we can see, through Skype who's active. And I would feel bad seeing them, active late hours of the night, and I would, knock off early. I stopped feeling bad about that.
Isn't that great?
Yep.
Realize other people have choices and you have choices and you can enjoy your life.
Yeah, I realized, they have a choice, and I made it clear that, that wasn't my expectation, of them. But if they choose to do that, by all means. But I wanted to make it clear that that wasn't the expectation.
Oh, isn't that the best? Oh, I love that for you.
Yeah.
So what do you think brought you to this point in your life where you're like, something's got to change, because I remember our first phone call, but I would love to hear in your words, like, what had you looking for a different way to work, or like, I need to get control over my career? Like, what was it for you?
Yeah, I felt that I was at a crossroads in my career. I had been with this organization for 12 years, and I've seen a lot of good people go. And I've also seen a lot of new people come in. And so, it's sort of like changing of the guards, so to speak. And I think, with me having so much tenure at work, I was being called on quite a bit because I had historical knowledge. And I was burnt out, that's essentially what it was. I really wanted to just quit my job, but I didn't want to do anything rational. Right. So or irrational. So I stopped myself from just quitting, but I realized, okay, I'm not happy. Something has to change. And it was really just a feeling of burnout, feeling tired all the time. Just wasn't getting any sort of like satisfaction out of work. It's like I would do the work sort of to check the box, but it wasn't more satisfying than that.
Yeah. And I'm so appreciative that you say that, because I think a lot of us women do come to this point where we're like, this isn't worth it. Like, well, this is like, I'm just exhausted in this experience. And yet, stepping back or quitting your job has a lot of ramifications, to your family, to your future, to what else is out there that could be comparable or not. Or even just having to start all over again somewhere else, which just sounds, when you're already exhausted, like that's the last thing you want to do is start all over
Exactly.
somewhere else, right?
Start over. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's great. So what are some of the impacts I would love to know on your personal life? Like where are you finding, I don't know, shifts or differences in your personal life?
So I've always been a big fan of therapy as a way of, just mental maintenance, right? And I've noticed that going through this program, given that I'm so much more self-aware, I feel that it's accelerating, the therapy, outside of the program. It's like my therapist is like quite impressed with all of the things, that I've come to learn of myself, things she already knew, but I hadn't gotten that knowledge yet. So I feel like it's put me on like an accelerated path, to just get through to the other side, different things that may have, kept me, I guess, emotionally, in bondage, and really recognizing that so I can, do something about it and get to the other side. So I honestly feel like going through this program was like a start of like a deeper healing process. And that's not what I expected at all. I didn't expect any sort of psychology or anything, but it really opened up a lot of things. And so it's definitely bigger, than the program itself in terms of how it's impacting me, in my personal life.
Gosh, that feels great just to hear that, Katrina. I'm so happy for you. Yeah. Yes, let go of all this emotional baggage that we all carry and just get further along on that journey. That's huge. Wow.
It is, yeah.
That's incredible. What else? Because I remember when we first talked, you were talking about you just things that you like to do in your life. I think it was like dance and some of the things. Like, are you finding those things there's less resistance and less friction? Like you're able to just go, like, I don't know, do hobbies or hang out, or what is it like for you? Anything changed there?
Yeah. So, because of, quarantine and such, I'm not going out as much, but I am finding that I can just, log off from the laptop and go hang out on, the rooftop terrace, or my wife say, hey, let's watch a movie or something. So it's really, being intentional about those things and recognizing, that I do have needs, for, connection, and I do have needs, to have fun, and that it's okay. And that it's important, to actually, fulfill those needs. So when I think about it that way, I think I feel less guilty about doing things because I realize this is something that's important for my overall well-being.
Yes, you get to be human.
Yeah.
Instead of a work automaton. Like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That is so cool. Well, anything that surprised you? You've talked a lot about like the psychology of what we do and how that surprised you working with us. Was there anything else we told you to do or we asked you to do within, the ecosystem we have that surprised you, or what you found to be a really helpful, tool or shift for you?
What first comes to mind is the exercise of writing down, I think, everything that you hear people say about you, and then writing down the things that just make you mad, just frustrate you. And from that exercise, it became apparent that I'm a perfectionist. And I've always, sort of, stayed away, from that title, although people have tried to give it to me. But I understand it now. And I understand that I definitely have those perfectionist tendencies. And I realize that causes a lot of my stress and headache and anxiety, just always trying to, do something right.
Yeah, in a certain way that only you, that you care more about than anybody else.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But yet at the same time, your perfectionism has gotten you to a place of great success, which is incredible. So does Mary crack up about that? Does she think you're a perfectionist?
Yeah. When I told her, she was like, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. Like she was so happy that I came to that revelation myself.
She's like, yeah, that's so funny. Oh, that's hilarious.
Like, this program is working. Like that was probably what she was the most excited about, was me recognizing, my perfectionist ways and recognizing that, you know, there's no such thing as, perfection. And I mean, everything's going to be okay, so it was like,
Yeah.
it was a big win for her.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, and what I love about it, like when I found out those things about myself, not being a perfectionist doesn't mean that you're a slacker. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because I think the fear is, well, if I don't do things this way, then I'll just lose my job, or I'll be a slacker. I won't be successful. It's like, no, you can be successful and not quite this,
Yeah,
worried about whatever it is. That's so cool.
exactly.
That is so cool. How'd you find us, Katrina? I'm curious.
It was a Sunday morning. I was just scrolling on Facebook. Now all of our church services are online. And so I typically log on through like our church Facebook Live, right? So I was on Facebook preparing for church, and I saw that there was, I think maybe you had some kind of webinar that was actually starting within a few minutes, and it allowed me time to watch it and actually be finished before my church service started at 11 a.m. Eastern time, I remember. So I just clicked on it and watched it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do more of this. And so I think I filled out something and submitted my name and email address, and here we are.
That was cool. And I remember our call because I think our call was like Monday or Tuesday right after.
Yeah, it was like immediately after.
Yeah. It was like ba-boom, ba-boom. Katrina's like, I'm done. I'm doing something about this. Let's get it done.
Yeah. I think I was at, my wit's end. I honestly felt like I was somewhat desperate. I didn't know what else to do. And so it was perfect timing, to see that as I scrolled through, social media. I was desperate for a solution. So I had watched, different, testimonials, and I made the decision, to sign up.
That's awesome. I know. I remember like 20 plus years now when I first burned out. I mean, I wish there'd been Facebook back then. Something that came down from the heavens that told me I didn't have to like burn out and quit my job. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing, Katrina. Well, you're so decisive and obviously very committed to, not allowing that to happen. What advice would you give to someone else? I know there's another woman out there, and that's why I so appreciate you doing this interview. Any advice you'd give or something you'd like to share, as we wrap up?
Yeah. From my experience going through this, I honestly can say this is a priceless experience. I truly believe it has changed the trajectory of my life. And, if you're watching this video and if you're finding yourself, at a crossroads trying to figure out, how can you have balance in your life? There's absolutely a way to do it. And what I learned was it first starts with me. So becoming self-aware and understanding how I was actually contributing to some of my unhappiness, that was key, and not something, that I had thought of. And I think also what helped me, given that we are quarantined, I think a lot of people are sort of taking the time, to reflect. So if you're watching this during the quarantine, this is a perfect time to just invest in yourself. There's nothing more important than investing in yourself.
I love that. It took me forever to learn that for myself. So I'm so glad that you're sharing that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That is
wonderful.
So cool. It's been great having you. You've been an incredible client, just a super fierce, cool woman to know. And thanks for sharing. This has been great. I love hearing all this. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.